Oh my God, is he your comments on here?
Is it?
Oh, yeah. I was like, what? Oh my God, what did I do? I forgot.
Is it
that,
playing the intro for people that are...
No, it
Yeah,
didn't
they
play
want-
the intro.
Did it just go straight to us?
It went straight to us, and I see a mouse.
And Jeff is over my
Jeff
face.
is inside Zach.
Oh, because Zach moved.
Hold on.
It
Wear
moved where
him
Zach
as a
was.
hat. Let me wear him as a hat. 1 second
Oh
here.
God.
Why did it
Wrong
not
way.
do the machine learning? Oh, you know why? Because I have it
Right.
under us. Because I'm so smart. I am the most
do I-
smart person.
Oh,
There we go.
now,
Hold on.
Shop
Oh.
smart.
Hold on.
Shop
Wait.
smart.
Nope.
no.
What are we doing here? Why is it? This is just.
This is solid gold.
One,
Audio and
two,
video.
3.
Wait, is the
clap.
audio doing something?
Oh, there we go. Got it.
What was
yeah.
the audio?
The audio's on
No,
now.
God damn it.
Oh, was the audio playing the
Hold
on.
machine
Whoa.
learning audio, but it wasn't because the video was underneath,
I
so it
don't
wasn't
know. I
showing
have
I
it?
don't
muted.
know. I'm not even recording it. Okay, I'm recording now. So let's clap.
Well, we're on live, so yeah, let's clap.
That's cool. That's fine. Let's show them what
Yeah.
the
The clap
All right.
doesn't matter. They like
Yeah.
the
clap
clap.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff
little
loves the
clap.
clap. We're doing this for Jeff.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, clap.
Huh.
I don't know if I feel good about that clap.
Flawless.
It was probably the best clap we've ever done.
That was a book 3 reclap.
Oh,
Oh,
Heavy with
nice.
the jeu de mat. Jeffy jeu de mat, as we call him around here. Starting today.
All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
You can
Hello,
do it.
and welcome back to Damn It. Or Shoot, I mean. Shoot is what I mean. I hope there are no children watching this. I'm going to have
That's
to
it.
bleep
We're
that
already
out.
Sounds
funded.
there
Like
were
no time's
children,
passion.
and they just ran out of the room crying.
because of the swearing. Hi, welcome. This is Machine Learning, a pod about the machine from Pod Against the Machine, the only podcast with a supplementary podcast with a 25-word title. I'm Izzy, and here's everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
The way that
Hello.
works this time.
Oh no.
I
I
also
couldn't
like
even
to
get
point
my
out
revenge
that
by
we're
waving.
on camera, but we all said hello audibly far faster than we ever have
For the
on the
first
actual
time.
show.
For those at home, every episode, it's like a solid minute of silence
As we
after
just wave
I
to each
say,
other.
"Here's everybody." And they all
But you
just
would never
stare at
know.
me dead-eyed. It's
We
it's really
wave, that's not
quite
true.
menacing.
Let's see. All right, so we starting with a recap or questions?
Questions,
Yeah.
I guess, or no, the
Questions,
other way.
I guess.
The other way is
We
what I
usually
meant
do
to
It's
say.
the book
We
3
usually
one.
do
Let's
the
do the
recap
opposite.
first.
But yeah, let's do recaps.
Yeah.
then.
Am I doing that too? Because that's not going to work.
If you want to start us off, I don't think that we need to like go episode by episode and break everything down in such intense detail because there
Do
are
it. This
62
is our
of
extra
them,
live
and that's a
stream,
lot.
24 hours of detailing book 3.
I would like 62 detailed descriptions of our episodes. Izzy, you were prepared for this, right?
I mean, I'm happy to talk for 62 minutes, but if we got defunded a minute ago, we're going to sink the whole pod this way.
Just 62 versions of reading my episode notes, some of which don't exist. Would be perfect.
I was gonna say, weren't some of those just like one word?
Occasionally there are no words. Sometimes there's just a funny joke and I'll write that down. And sometimes they're incredibly in depth. Usually if we're eating at the Smith house.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Mhm.
coincidentally, I think is how book 3 starts, isn't it?
Ooh, look at that segue. Live
Nice.
segue
Flawless,
Straight
smooth.
to the recap you're going to do, Sam.
I'm not sure that
Straight
it actually does
into
start
it.
with dinner at
It
the
does
Smythes.
now.
But and the first distinct chunk of book 3 is being back in Torch after returning from Scrapwall, and Torch has, just a little technically gargoyle buddy, just interviewing everybody and making copious notes. And Meanda's gone; she's been hauled off to Starfall, and everybody, is just generally pretty happy to have the big gargoyle Sazaduk hanging out and definitely not menacing anyone. I think the party broke into his cabin, right? Went through his stuff,
Yeah.
stole his paperwork, maybe.
Yeah.
Brixby definitely broke in there.
That's right. I
Did we
remember
all?
that.
Yeah, I think the
No,
rest
I
of
think
us
it was
hung
just
out
Brixby.
outside,
Yeah.
like keeping an eye out.
Well, that's right. We tried to create a diversion.
You abetted my crime.
Here we go.
There's a chance that the only recorded proselytizing that Asher ever even half-heartedly did was to Agron Most as a form of distraction about all of the wrong he'd done by letting, like, bad people like Sandville stay in his boarding house.
Poor guy.
Truly
And
the
then after
villain.
Opening things
that,
on that side, computer.
Whoa.
Oh,
I just saw
oh,
text.
there we go. That's the full
Words,
recap.
words,
Yeah,
words.
that's me opening the recap so I can follow along because it keeps auto opening on everything on that side, and because Skype and OBS don't play along, I have to capture the screen, not just the window. My computer's like, "Oh, you want to open everything on that side of the screen, right?"
Of course you do. Well, after the quick trip back to Torch, where I guess they also delivered Dinvaya to her old buddy Joram Kite and rekindled an ages lost romance. Careless Whisper played several times.
Which is allowed. Tim gave us approval.
That's true. Tim said it's fine. And then
Hey, Tim.
oh, yeah, the other big thing that happened in Torch is that one day they woke up and Vargas was gone.
Yeah, that was kind of a
I
big one,
suppose
huh?
that's a non-trivial
Yeah.
bit of information. Vargas just took off, and he told only Brixby. He told Brixby to lie about it, which was really quite nice of him.
And he also lied to Brixby and said he would meet everybody up in town, lied to them about where I went, and then he left. Which, not the
And
nicest
he joined
thing to
another pod. Yep. And you
Yeah.
can still find Vargas on one of those other actual play podcasts that exists out there that we
He's
can't
chained
name
up
for
in the
legal
brig
reasons.
on one of the boats in the background on 25 North.
There you
Thank
go.
you, Jason.
He just happens to show up one day, and nobody says a word about it.
Yeah,
As
he's
the
not actually on
ancient-
the he's just like in the background, not mentioned. There's
Yeah.
actually a video
Well,
element to that pod, but it's very secret and
this-
you can't normally see it. And he's just kind of like chained up in the background.
Yeah, at some point somebody sees like a 150-year-old Khaled with a metal arm.
So old.
He's 52.
152, yeah. That's right.
That's what
But
I
it's like
said.
Kelid years. So each
Yeah.
Kelid year is 3 non-Kelid
And to be
years,
fair,
right?
like Kelly
You're like a
years
hot
are
dog.
like Tatooine years. Like living in Numeria is not a way to grow old gracefully.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a hard life. Just ask the Ash Giants.
Mm.
But
Rip.
yeah, to bring it up, Vargas did in fact leave the group. That was a decision partly on but like he had died, like he was killed in one of the combats in book 2, and thankfully the book had thrown us a lifeline for, hey, if one of your characters dies, here's this scroll. So he was able to come back, but at the time, especially with that character and what kind of I had in mind for what I want him to do next, it made more sense to me, at least, and I did talk with Sam about it some, to basically have him go on this kind of journey that's been kind of slowly happening in some of the book 3 intros, that he basically went, okay, I am not strong enough to help these people do all this stuff and help protect everyone. I need to go basically go off and train with my people. And he floated up into the sky and they fired Homer from the show.
You think that we will see Vargas again?
Ooh, asking the hard questions.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
asking
Here we
questions
are.
in
Yeah,
the recap
if
section.
if you had asked that like the week after I swapped the character out, I would have said definitely. But honestly, I don't know anymore. It's kind of up in the air for me whether he'll ever return as like an actual player character or not, or be kind of relegated to
Like
being
an
more of a
intro to an episode where you have a heart attack at like an Italian
yeah,
restaurant or
yeah, like
something.
yeah. Like I definitely like wouldn't
Just
kill him
says
off in an
Mamma
intro.
Mia and his face just falls down into
Yeah,
some Papa Cacio. Yeah, that's fair. That's how he wanted to go.
yeah. But I honestly could see with just how much part of it is how much fun I'm having playing my current character. Uh, and also part of it is just also further stuff that I thought of with his story that like I may like have Sam have him pop up as like a NPC at some point, but I don't know if he'll return as a player character anymore. I'm not 100% sure one way or the other anymore now.
So does NPC in that context apply as non-party comrade? Because that's what you
Yeah,
would be.
perfect.
And it would be very sad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd be happy to see Vargas again, even as an NPC.
Even if he is just like greeting at like the, Numerian Walmart that we walk into or whatever. And we're like, do we know that guy?
Wearing a blue vest and
Yeah.
just telling you about the specials.
Yeah. No, before you leave, I need to see your receipt.
Oh, he did the voice.
Oh, there it is.
Well, when one door closed, another door opened. As we did have, I just totally blanked on on the character's name. Halloween show up.
Halloween.
No.
He
harassing
definitely hasn't
chickens
at
and
this
trying
point
to
been
pet
in more
Brixby the
episodes than
dog.
Vargas has or anything.
Yeah, I just my brain just was like, nope, you're done. It's just Vargas now. But yeah, they met up with Alwyn as he harassed some chickens outside Charlie the Lizard Folk's Chicken Emporium. He tried to pet Brixby because Brixby is, of course, Kira's dog.
Yeah, it's Kira's dog.
Mm-hmm. Woof.
He hasn't seen a Yosoki. He
remember.
saw this small furry thing hanging out with Kira. He's like, awesome. He
I
very
made
much
an
loves
Iggy
animals.
Pop reference that no one got during that. Anyway,
It's a lot of references I don't get on this show. It's okay.
that's fair.
You know, we're nothing if not references no one gets, or references only a very, very tiny group get.
You're all dad rock references. It's not insignificant in
Hey,
our
we sometimes
in
make
our
references
Discord
to like
audience.
90s pop and 90s rap that also nobody gets because it's also way
That
too old
also
for our
qualifies
audience.
Not the 90s.
basically dad rock for millennials
Oh,
these days.
I'm aging
No,
as we
that's awful
speak.
because that's making me think of the
Oh,
Zeitgeist comic from XKCD where they call Eminem dad rap.
Oh
Yes.
no.
oh, he's hip and edgy.
He's hip and hop.
Don't you want to grow up to be just like me?
He's 50. He's the age of Vargas.
Oh, God.
Feel
one hurts.
old yet? Wow, that one really does hurt. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
rough.
Sam, take us away from this moment in time.
Yeah. Yeah. Take us back
Well,
into the
the
imagination.
Cowboys took us away as that was the Dixie Chicks.
Oh,
No.
sorry, the chicks.
Yeah, well, at the time, but yes, that's more correct. The party left Torch shortly thereafter with their new buddy, and Sazaduk followed them. He caught up eventually, and they had a nice chat where, the party basically figured they couldn't get out of being arrested in any real diplomatic way, and they wound up killing him and feeding him to zombie butterflies, which, sometimes you got to do it. They got a cool sword out of it, but they couldn't identify the sword at the time. Then they continued on to Eidenvey, where Cassandra Lee was last sighted. And they introduced themselves, I believe, to Mylan Radley's former student, who's
Cricket legs.
Cricket Legs. Yeah.
Actus Edlund.
And his daughters, who were a little bit surly. And Actus introduced them to Red Fang, and Red Fang sort of became their point of contact. And Red Fang was spread super thin because he had to run the town, run the inn where visitors stayed and stuff, and investigate Technic League spies. And then there was this farm where the farmer was missing or whatever. So the party was like, well, we'll take some work off your hands. We'll go check out the farm. Long story short, there was a Yao Guoi there. The farmer was dead, so that sucked. But they fought the Yao Guoi, and they brought its head back floating on Brixby's disc and just paraded that through town for a while, thereby earning everyone's trust.
Jammed it into the town hall, I believe I remember correctly.
Yeah, they brought it right in, and I don't know if they mounted it on the wall or...
We mounted it without taxidermying it, so it is just like a moldering mess at this point. But
so it fell down within a couple of days.
No, they put it. We put a little platform below it for it to collect on. So it's
nice.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
continue.
why not?
After that, they earned a little bit of trust from Red Fang, who gave him a cool cloak that doesn't really do all that much that's useful, but it's cool to have. And he let them in on the secret of the Technic League spy who was operating in town, who they thought they'd caught, but then they found a mechanical bird being sent out with a message after they'd already arrested who they thought was the spy. So they knew the spy was still at large, and they still had the matter of the mechanical man that they had apprehended and thrown in their makeshift dungeon. Well, that guy turned out was an inevitable who called himself the Drifter, and he was basically arrested because he was a machine man in a town that hated machines, but he was on a mission to stop a Zill invasion from breaking out of a mine nearby in Party Town, or Purdy Town, really. But
I'm still not convinced that wasn't just Asher.
It might have been Asher. He looked a lot like Asher, a little taller though. So
who could say?
What was that?
I say, who could say? It could have been, alternate timeline Asher, and this was all just a setup
from
for
the future.
Book 4 of the multiverse of Numeria.
Yeah, we're gonna loop back around, and everybody's inevitables now.
Better than everyone's chitons now. I like that more. So.
Oh, some people are going to be chitons, and some people are going to be inevitable. It's just going to be like everybody's a lawful outsider, but it's all random.
All right.
I couldn't think of any other except devils. So somebody's a devil too.
It's a lawful neutral outsider.
So everybody basically decided that the biggest threat, it sounded like, in the near future was the threat to Party Town and the possible Zill breakout that was going to happen. So the party abandoned Eidenvey a couple days after getting there and went out to Party Town, which was empty and looked like there had been, a whole bunch of violence. Went into the mine where they found baby Zill.
Yeah.
And they also found a Zill that could come out of the wall and drag you into the wall. That was fun for Asher specifically. He got pulled right in there.
Nope.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Traumatizing.
It was a fun time.
Not the last trauma we'd have in Party Town, neither.
No, that whole place was awful. I don't know why anyone lived there. Because it's not
What,
like
Well,
the
no
Zill
one
were
lives there
new.
cascading
anymore.
radioactive
Yeah,
waterfalls and
yeah. It's not like the Zill were new. They've been trapped down there for like what was it, like 1,000 years or something. Like,
Yeah, but they'd only gotten out recently because they dug greedily and too deep. And then they had the one Zell that could walk through walls, which helped. Well, the party did find one survivor in the mines there that was didn't write her name down. Her name was Basari, right?
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. And quick
Basari, the
aside
former
before
guard.
that, if I can, Finder had an interesting question that I'd like you to answer before we dive too much more into the Zill stuff. Tell us, Sam, is Scorpions of Perdition part of Book 3?
It sure ain't. Scorpions of Perdition is an adventure path add-on for the Iron Gods adventure path from Legendary Games. Pointedly, it was written by Nick Logue, who also wrote Book 2. And I didn't decide that to add in Scorpions of Perdition, or specifically the Zill part, until the party absolutely slaughtered Zagmander at the
We
end of
one
Book
shot
2,
a
and she
Zill.
didn't even get a
Yeah.
turn. It was like, well, now the Zill are going to have their day.
Or
And
their
have their
month.
day, they nearly did.
So if we had like a long, drawn out knockdown fight with the Blood Ghost, do you think we still would have done this little side quest or no?
Maybe. I mean, it would have been more up in the air. I was definitely up in the air about it. I thought that it was really cool. And the Zill thing, it's scary, and the Zills themselves are pretty horrifying enemy. I mean, they're basically xenomorphs that can talk.
And cast
So
spells
it's a
and have
cool thing.
DR and every other horrible thing.
yeah, and there was actually like an effective environmental moment when we realized that all of the hanging like tokens were indicative of the people that had gone down into the mine in some sort of like buddy system sort of way, safety sort of way to show
Mhm.
that they were still on shift. Because we were
Yeah.
like, what are all of these things? They must be like magic items. And then when you're like, no, they're just indicators of all the people that are
Yeah.
dead that
Yeah,
you
they're
failed.
basically dog tags.
Yeah, no, totally right. So that was a little spooky. And then there was a boule.
Yeah. I don't think
Yes.
you ever
Yeah.
wound up fighting the Boule,
Nope.
did you?
No, we left it
No.
alone.
We gave the yeah, no,
It's
we
like
gave
right
that
around
boule
that.
We're
a
like, oh,
wide
there's a
berth.
land shark over there. Okay, let's ignore that and go keep doing this.
And you went on down and went down the radioactive waterfall, fought the like spider Zill that could spit acid, or yeah, I think they could spit acid.
Yeah, we fought like 2 of those at the waterfall, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then found your way into Shadrax's castle, where trying to think, was a fight. It wasn't with Shadrax though, right? It was with just like some Zill minions.
There were
Yeah.
some people outside, kind of like we opened the door and like grenaded in, and then had a fight, kind of all
Oh,
the way
yeah.
back in through those chambers.
It went
And
super well.
Yeah,
it
there
went
was a green
super,
one, so you know
super
it's going to
great.
be bad.
I believe the green one was the one that survived that
Always
particular
is.
fight.
Yeah, because 2 of them could like use magic or something. We killed one, but not the other one.
Yeah, there
And
were
then there
priests.
was, yeah,
There was the
and
Deadpool invisible ones that would just come out and
yes, yeah,
shank the heck out of
Oh
you.
my God, yeah, that almost killed Brixby. I got
Mm-hmm.
really close to being killed by one of those like invisible murder you sneak attackies.
Oh yeah. And I think it wound up that I can't remember what the agreement was other than that 2 people had to stay behind with the Zill. I don't remember why.
It was the lie that like, hey, we're gonna go like get
Yeah.
prepped to, get some strong magics to end your curse.
Oh, right.
Alwyn bluffed them that he could break the curse, but that he needed to like take time to prepare. But then they said, okay, if that's true, 2 of you have to stay here. So we picked the 2 that didn't currently have Zill growing inside of them to stay there.
Yeah.
And then went back to
It's nice bonding.
Mhm.
yeah, that you hung out with the priest of Abadar, who was not super capable of helping. And
Yeah, he just kept talking about the prime rate. It was annoying. We were
You
just
just
like,
said
come on,
Priest
man.
of Abdar twice, Sam.
and then the other half of the party basically went back to Eidenveg, got everyone from town who could fight, including the Drifter, and came back with an army. And we staged a fight in which everybody had control of 2 PCs, and I had like 600 enemies.
Including
That was
one
a
that
good
had
one.
a pair of multi-shot revolvers.
I think the only thing didn't like Father
ever-changing
Sardis
accent.
didn't Father Sardis like help with one of the like paralyzes or something? He did like one thing useful and then went like, all right, bye.
Yeah, well, he got rid of the eggs in Bricks and Alwyn.
Yeah. Strong de-egging.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was for Brother Dervish, wasn't it?
Oh wait, no, that was Dervius. Oh yeah, you're talking about
Oh, you're
Sardis
right.
is the Abadar one. Yeah,
This Abadar in the
yeah.
cell.
Didn't he spend like 90% of the combat carving himself a new symbol out of like a piece of broken jail cell or something?
Yeah, he had to make a holy symbol of Abadar in order to be able to do anything.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So
That's
he
when
basically
Kira
saved the
got.
whole fight.
Weren't you like big and that was a problem in that fight?
Probably.
Like,
Yeah,
I remember like you were enlarged, but you couldn't get through something. I'm trying to
Well,
remember.
Oh yeah, no, it
the
was like
door was stuck, and Asher tried to break it down with the ring of the ram because they didn't take the ring from him because they were stupid and thought it was just a regular ring.
jewelry.
And that took like 3 turns. And in the meantime, Kira enlarged, and then when he finally got the door open, she couldn't get out the door.
Well, she could
Nearly
squeeze.
crushed Asher. Yeah, I eventually got out.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem was like Asher and the priest were in front of her and she was taking up 4 squares.
That's fair.
4 squares in like a 6-square cell.
Yeah.
But then we got some really cool guns.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the main fallout of that was that Asher got Shadrax's revolvers, which are pretty sweet.
We got actual 6-shooters.
And you got to run a de-egging bucket brigade, basically, where the druids and clerics were saving all of the survivors, basically, from Party Town. And it was a pretty successful mission overall. I mean, you couldn't save the people who were dead before you got there, but you saved a bunch of people who otherwise were doomed. And then the Drifter had to go back to his planet because his people needed him. And Homer was fired from the show once more as the Drifter disappeared onto Axis, and because he had fulfilled his contract with the ancient Kelid Oracle who had brought him there in the first place to combat the Zill. And then
question, that Oracle didn't we, though I don't know if we ever got it confirmed. I think I just asked and you refused to say one way or the other. But had the same surname as what's his face, the Black Sovereign, didn't she?
Nanesk Cool.
Cool, yeah. Because he's
But
Kevok
I
Cool.
think
And I don't think you ever
Cool
answered whether that was that they were if they were related or not.
I think Cool is a more of a title kind of name add-on with the Kelids that goes to leadership, but she is from the same tribe. They were
She
both
was like
from
a
the Black
Blackleg
Horses,
or
I
Black
believe.
Horse, yeah, not Blackleg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blacklegs are from Honest Hearts in Fallout New Vegas.
So if I didn't answer before, I will answer now. The book doesn't definitively say whether or not they were related, but if they were, it was distantly because he
it was like
Zill were
hundreds
in
of years
prison
ago,
for a
yeah.
long time.
I was just wondering if she was like his ancestor. Because that's a neat little bit of world building if it is.
I can't wait to ask him when we get there.
Yeah.
To
And
cool
he's going to
down.
answer with, I'm all drugged up and I
Hey,
can't talk anymore.
We don't know that.
You don't know. Maybe he's cleaned up his act.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just like Drooly Julie, you know, he's gonna find his way into a program and get better.
Yeah.
Book 4 is us
Julie's
putting
probably
Kebab Cool
mayor.
into rehab.
We saved Party Town. We got some cool guns.
Went back to Eidenvey and went back to investigating the Technic League.
Mm-hmm. Actually looking for that spy. And Eidenvey still hated us because J. Jonah Jameson told them we were evil.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh,
my favorite and least favorite character of book 3.
Oh, he's the best, isn't he?
I mean,
what was his full
he does
name?
a really good job of irritating me. Credit to Sam.
It wasn't just Hoskett.
Hoskett.
It
was
like
Hoskett. Hoskett. His first name and
Hoskett,
last name was spelled Hoskett.
H. Hoskett.
Mm-hmm.
Probably has to be. Trying to see if I even have a copy of the PDF still open to find him.
Old Zip Lip Staggeroni.
Old Zip Lip Staggeroni.
Oh, it never gives him a first name. He's just Hoskett.
I could have sworn you gave him
it's
a
a
first name
mononym like
he's
Cher?
a mononym.
Yeah, he's like Cher.
Madonna.
This story brought
Prince.
to you by Hoskett.
A Hoskett joint.
Interesting.
Keeps putting.
And looking
Zach
for
in
the
front
spy,
of
we went to a
Jeff.
camp.
Yeah. Old Heddick's woodcutting camp had a caravan of traveling Varisians.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I remember that.
Hero went in for tchotchkes. Definitely just
Karen wanted to
tchotchkes.
buy some
Hoink.
tchotchkes.
But do you remember what led you to the caravan of Varisians?
The
No.
finger
Talking to
symbols,
the-
right?
A child?
I was talking to
Yeah.
the old lumberman, right? And
The
then
grandson
finger symbols
of
before.
the
It was-
Bardleys.
Yeah.
and did
by
we
the
make him
Bardley
invisible and
Badwater
he like
revival.
went and did a bunch of horrible
I made
Dennis
him
the
invisible.
Menace
Yeah,
stuff?
we
I made him do
Prince
a crime.
invisible to child.
Mhm.
We found a
Yeah.
finger symbol.
And
Yeah, you
some
found
tracks
Zill.
that led into the woods. Yeah, we
Yeah.
found a Zill and some tracks that led into the woods that disappeared, perhaps, belying a boof.
Yeah.
Boof belying.
You found boof marks.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, because we
Boof
kept finding
prints.
it was like tracks and then nothing and then tracks, and we were trying to figure out what they were doing, if they were teleporting or whatever. Turns out they were boofing.
Because of the boof boots.
How is there no more? I just Googled because I'm just like, there's nothing that could come up unless he is also the Black Sovereign. I'm like, Hoskett, Yadenve, Pathfinder. And it is really just Hoskett. Everything I'm
Yeah.
seeing right now is just
Yeah.
Hoskett.
It's
I didn't
H
open
or a
like any
Hoskett.
PDFs, but I am seeing it on like some Pathfinder wikis. That's wild. Yeah. For everybody that's not in our general chat, we are about 40 minutes and only a third of the way through. So we should speed this up.
Yeah.
You should. So we went to the camp. We didn't get the boots immediately. We had to do some
Yeah.
trickery
We
first.
interrogated the Varisians and discovered that one of them wasn't who she seemed. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. And you'd think surely it was Evil Dave, but no, he's fine. He's just Evil Dave.
Evil
Nope.
Dave.
Evil
is
Dave.
We're talking about
Hilarious
Evil Dave.
Zaleshi.
With his overpowering
We
aura
chased
that
Alaris down.
made it so Asher couldn't even detect evil on anyone else.
Level 20 evil outsider, Evil Dave, who was just absolutely, content to just rip the, wash tub bass or whatever in their band.
It's
So
so
we did-
evil. He doesn't have to
Holiday.
do anything to prove it. Is the thing.
No, he's just like half a beat off all the time, and that's what works for him. So we did what anybody does in the course of a normal interrogation and investigation. We beat them and we took their shoes.
As one does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you interrogated her, basically you got out of her that she found a well in an abandoned farm in part of town that seemed to lead down to some possible ruins. And then you sent her off to be imprisoned with Red Fang. Little did you know, she stole his axe and stabbed him with it and ran away. But surely that would never come back to bite anyone at any point in the future.
I gotta say, how useless was he? We had her like beat up, 2 HP, hands tied, all of her magical gear removed from her, and he still lost the fight.
Oh, the
To be
problem was
fair,
it was a cutscene.
yeah, and this guy is like 15 municipal positions for this town. Like he was probably doing his, like ombudsman work or like comptroller work for that day when that was, like thinking about. I mean, honestly, these small towns, like that guy is also running a business and putting up with
Wears
our
a lot
stuff,
of hats.
right? Yeah, absolutely. And apparently, like, also runs a kitchen with all of those black and white tiles.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't smelt in there with the windows closed, kids.
Mm-hmm.
So the party went down into that well, found a cloud of nanites waiting for them, which Kira used a gust of wind to shoot them through an electric door
Ah.
and it fried them.
Cool.
That was a fun moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out there was a video in the in that ship of some old guy, namely Furcus Shoud, but we didn't know that at the time, reactivating the power in the ship and talking to an invisible guy named Sahasho.
We didn't know
We
his
met our greatest rival.
We didn't
Best
know his
friend.
first name, but we do have from the recording. But what you seek still lies in the ruins of this ship, does it not, Master Zhaud?
Ah.
Mhm.
So you didn't
Wow,
know it was
Jeff
Furcus
takes
Shoud.
really good notes.
It
Could have
might
been anybody.
It might have been his cousin Jerkus.
Mm-hmm.
William.
William
God.
Zhaud.
William. And then I
Jebediah
think
Zhaud.
you went in and found some defective androids led by the least defective android, Searath, who was essentially an assassin. They all tried to kill you. Didn't work out so great.
I don't
And it
think we
turned
got her
out
name
that she
before.
had...
Did we?
What was that?
See, Wrath?
Did we get her name before?
Oh. Nope.
I don't
think
know
we
if
did.
you ever got her name, but you found like her notes that she'd been scribbling on the walls about
Mhm.
Tools of the Dominion, you will not take my mind.
See, this
Yeah.
is why we do machine learning.
Listen to those
That gives
notes.
background details.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. From Jeff's one note.
So she was pretty worried about somebody taking her mind, and she thought you guys were going to take her mind, but instead you took her life.
Ah, turned it around.
Mm-hmm.
Went over to the other side of the ship where there were gearsmen. And then they went down, and you found the remains of a Myrmidon robot that somebody else had killed. And another, like, super gearsman, which you also took out. And then you found the room with Sahasho in it. And he thought maybe Master Shout had sent you because he'd been just hanging out in that ship for such a long time.
We tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
We
tried
tried
to
to
send
let
him
him
back.
go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, sadly. He's still down there even to this day.
The thing we glossed over briefly in our attempt to expedite things was that the big gearsman that we had to fight did say, like, that's the first time we really heard Cassandra Lee spoken of outside of the, like, Nolek in like Hellion notes was, lower your weapons and submit the traitor Cassandra and you'll be spared. And we're like, oh snap. I hope that's not who we just killed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That was a fun moment of wondering if Cassandra was the android you had killed.
Yeah, I was personally pretty certain that was her, and I'm like, oh no, that was not good.
Oh, no.
And the AP ended.
I know.
And then we were done.
They account for far more disruptive parties than ours in the creation of adventure paths.
And also to skip a little bit ahead, it's not like she wasn't dead anyway.
I haven't listened to that episode yet, Jero.
Wow.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Cassandra, it turns out, was dead. And Fergus Shao took her dead body out of that ship and teleported away, promising to come back for Sahasho at some point. He never did.
So, was there, like, in the GM notes, did it give a reason for him to leave Sahasho there? Like, what was the point of not taking him back? Like, why did he say, guard this place, it doesn't have anything worth value in it anymore?
Well, now that we're through book 3, I can tell you, I mean, Shao intended to come back.
Oh,
he intended to, like, gut the place, maybe take advantage of the android foundry. It's not specifically clear, but he died interrogating Cassandra Lee, which is major spoilers for, like, 10 minutes from now when we get to that part in the recap. But the main thing that the party got from the Aurora, which was the name of the ship that they were in, was where they were to go next, looking for Cassandra Lee's body, which was the Choking Tower in the middle of the Smokewood, which was a couple days off to the east.
And then we got attacked by a hag?
Well, we got tricked by a bunch of hags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was that before or after we ran into the giant?
First was the giants who were afraid of the robot.
Oh, yeah, the giants, and then ED-209, and then the hags.
Yeah. And then, we ran into they were trying to be nice, but they were hags. We fought them all, and then we got to the titular tower, as it were.
Well, after you fought the hags, you met Long Dreamer, who was kind of hiding from the hags because she's non-violent.
Skip your god.
Semi-divine moth. And she was like, I'm tired of all these choking towers. So, then you went to the choking tower.
Fair.
The choking tower was so chill and kind, and nothing bad ever happened there.
Yeah,
really
it was
easy.
It was basically a vacation.
Yeah.
You went in
long beach episode.
Yeah, clearly it's meant to be like a breather dungeon in between all the other hard parts.
Yeah. The robots were wicked easy. The ghost that came out of the walls was wicked easy. And the kitchen that killed Alwyn, wicked easy also.
Yeah.
Oh no, ad break.
Wait, ad break?
I double mint
enough
gun.
people talk that enough people talk that
no, an ad break popped up.
Oh.
In Twitch. I don't know how that works.
Why do we have an ad break? We don't even have are we an affiliate? I didn't think we hit affiliate yet.
Yeah, we're affiliates.
Oh, okay. Then that's why we have an ad break. Okay.
So Twitch is
out
there making
might
money
get like
off
2
of
cents. Yeah. Yeah, we might get like 2 cents.
Everybody watch those ads.
I don't know if they can hear us over the ads.
Over the ads. That's okay. We're killing time until Mala comes back.
Yeah. You said it at the same time as Nightbot popped up to advertise the pod in the chat. And I'm like, oh, you're calling that an ad break. That's funny. Not realizing that it was an actual ad break. Yeah.
I forgot where we just left off. Pre-ad break? My bad.
So we're talking about Alwyn dying.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, how could I forget?
Yeah.
The kitchen was rigged up with a trap where basically whenever you touched something, there was a an accumulating chance that it would trigger the trap, like every time anyone touched anything. And the first roll, like basically the instant Zach said Brixby was touching or was looking around, I rolled 1 for like touching things, and I hit it on the first roll, and it triggered the fireball trap, which instantly killed Alloy.
Yeah. Which
And almost
fun,
Brixby.
yeah,
Almost
fun
me, yeah.
peek behind the
Yeah.
curtain on that one. I was on like 3 hours of sleep that day, and I was like slowly in my head, like trying to figure out. I was looking through my healing equipment as everybody was talking. I'm like, oh, nice, they're doing like what do you call it, like scenery building, and then all of a sudden Sam goes, okay, now everybody roll your reflex save, and I'm like, wait, what are we rolling?
Yeah, it was very surprising.
Yeah, no, it, and the amount of damage that did, like granted, if I had been awake enough to like say, I'm gonna stand outside until I heal, I would have been alive, like the same as Brixie, but I still would have been down and unconscious. Like that damage from that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was basically a fireball, like
Yeah.
a 10d6 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you rolled high on it too.
And I think
But we got him
Shout
back.
had just fireballed everybody
Yeah.
Oh,
Before-
that's true.
before he
Mhm.
ran away with a
Yeah,
literal
and that horrible
fireball.
mist that our masks didn't help with. Actually, did we even have the masks yet at this point? We did, right?
You had masks, you weren't
Oh, yeah.
using them yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got them
Oh,
in
right.
the Aurora.
yeah.
We
But I
learned
remember they
went
didn't
back to
work
Torch to
on
get
that
another
one. He had that one ability that it doesn't matter if you're in the mask or not. It was like skin contact, poison mist
Yeah.
or something. And that
We
was
got him
reckless.
back. It all turned out okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no one was traumatized. Definitely Brother Dervish is fine.
Yeah.
He can
And
still
we're-
sleep.
Mm-hmm. Control
We're
C.
definitely sure it's
Wonderful.
definitely Alwyn.
Yep. Absolutely. Not.
And
someone
then
who
That
looks
was
like
great.
Alwyn.
As we decided it's definitely Alwyn. Jero leaned forward and we could see your red contacts really clearly. And so that
Yeah.
feels extremely sinister.
that is very menacing, especially with the big purple balloon right in front of your face. That adds to the effect. After that, you brought Alwyn back to life, and he was surprisingly chill about having just died. And then you went back into the tower, started climbing, and just destroying all of Fercus's stuff, because at that
Mhm.
point it was personal.
Yeah.
Brixby, I
Wrecked all
think,
his
was
dumb
ripping up
skulls.
a spell book.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, that was fun. That was enjoying like a deeply vindictive action that like was anathema to the character themselves, but like by that extent was
Mhm.
super enjoyable to do.
I mean, you saved the spells
yeah.
you could learn, I think, from it. You just destroyed all the
Yeah,
rest of the
no.
knowledge.
I took like
yeah.
2 spells from that original book and ripped them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
that was like his little baby's first spell book.
Yeah.
So it wasn't important.
That wasn't the super important spell books that were
So-
maybe found later.
How
Yeah.
come, like, I know a couple of the books we found were from, like, his assistants, but Zhaud himself had, like, 9 spell books kept all in different rooms. Like, what, why did he just leave spell books in random places?
I mean, he was
left journals.
manspreading.
Yeah.
It was his domain. He could have spell books wherever he wanted. His good ones were in his bedroom.
Left and
though.
right.
Yeah.
Was that original or the first book that we found his? I thought it belonged to somebody else. I thought it belonged to one of his like assistants. That
The
I
first
only-
book, the first book you found, the one that Brixby ripped up, was Fergus's old spell book.
That's what
Yeah, because it was
Okay,
in,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the smoking lounge type room.
Yeah, it was like a
'Cause-
study he didn't use
yeah.
anymore.
The smoking lounge.
Yeah.
Funny.
Because we did find another one later near one of the bodies of one of
yeah.
his assistants, and that one was their book.
Yeah, that was. I think it started with an A or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
one that, like, went crazy and let the wind demon out, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
The vampiric
fog.
mist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the
whatever
hungry
it was.
fog.
Hungry
Hungry
fog.
fog,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what it was. Yeah.
And not a
Kingsley.
Visk.
And not a Visk. Yeah, that's what it
Yes.
was. Because I have it as written as Visk spellbook in mine. Guess we did keep that one.
Yeah, I mean, you went through. There were several floors of like labs and stuff with wild animals on the loose, which
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. There were some fun encounters there.
Yeah, there was
with
just a
the
random like badger in one of the rooms that ate through the doors and attacked us.
the
The
Aurum
Golden
Borax.
Gorger.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the nanite cocoons that you started finding and were absolutely terrified of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandably.
I
so.
wanted to
Mhm.
take the nanite cocoons.
I
Yeah.
But I
was positive
outvoted.
those were either some kind of weapon or something that was going to turn on and kill us. I would not in a million years have guessed, oh, it's a key card.
Yeah, same. That was definitely like one of those twists I did not expect at all. I was like, we're going to touch this, and our
Mhm.
hubris is going to result in a nanite swarm that
What
only
I-
Asher can shoot.
Yeah. What I thought it was like thinking like out of game, like metagaming wise, was like I assumed like every room we went in there was probably a random chance of Zhao showing up. And I assumed that if he showed up in a room with one of those, he would be able to like activate it and it would attack us. That was my guess on those.
Maybe
Is-
he could have.
Is that how it worked, Sam? That he would just randomly show up in rooms?
There were
I feel like you've told us this before.
there were several places where it's like Shoud shows up here or Shoud shows up here if they do X.
Mm.
And then there were like suggestions for like if he hasn't shown up by now, he should probably come out here. Or like there was the place with the schematics, which was I think the first time you saw him. It basically says like if they look at the drawings, then Shoud will emerge from one of them as he has a connection to them and can see through them. Basically,
Mhm.
it kind of alerts him to them.
Yeah,
And it also said if anyone tries to stay overnight in the tower, he'll attack them in the night, which you did in one of the labs.
Yes. He reminds me, and I'm blanking on the name now, but and I've played it like 3 times all the way through, but there is a 5e adventure where the main villain is a vampire lord. In like every random encounter table, he's on. And one of my
Strahd?
games in it, like he showed up. Yes,
Curse of Strahd.
yes, Curse of Strahd. And there was a game I played of that where he showed up like 6 times and the GM just kept getting mad. He's like, I don't want to roleplay this guy again. You guys are too weak for him to not just kill you.
Well, we eventually faced down our own Strahd once we had acquired our 4 key cards.
We did.
And
Well-
that went totally fine.
Yeah, you got the key cards. You went on down to the basement and maybe
Luca
unleashed
Demon?
a daemon, just a little
Yeah.
daemon.
Jeff
Met up with a
teleported
worm that
himself off a
walks.
cliff.
And
Yeah.
then you found the way into Lab X, where the dead bodies of Firkus Shout and Cassandra Lee were sitting. And also mnemotechnic recovery robot. And the final showdown with Firkus Shout, where Brixby came into the room first and got hit with a phantasmal killer. He got phantasmally killed.
Oh yeah, roll 20 was not with me that night.
Yeah.
It was like 1, 2, 3 or something like that. And so
Yeah.
there is, I mean, it's one of those like dice tell the story things. So yep, Brix died. And then he returned.
And then even with the we used the cardio amp, and that failed too. Like the amount of like the game
was
was
such a
determined
bummer,
to
saying, like,
kill
I-
Bricks. Yeah.
Yeah, I failed 2 saves and then the cardio amp. So
Oh, that
yeah,
was
it was
3,
3
yeah.
rolls. Yeah,
Yeah.
that were
And they were all like under
single
5.
digits. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
They were all under 5.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of
Roll
those
20
things where there's-
yeah. It had
Yeah,
out
there
for
was
'em.
no bonuses, no items, no nothing that could really mitigate the situation in the moment. So we died. We being Bricks and I, both in that moment. But the party continued on, and they did a great job.
Kind of. It's like very difficult to keep playing this game when someone in the party has died, is what I'm learning and have learned so many times now. It's like, wow, I'm very sad. I don't want to strategize. I want to lay on my floor with my cat.
Yes.
But, the show stops for business, no showtime. Show must go on. That's how that goes.
Yep.
Right.
No,
And
the show stops for business, no showtime.
exactly. That is how it actually goes. But it is one of those strange things because, like, when you think about the 6-second slices, like the little temporal rounds that we deal with, there's like no time between that and all of the things that you would, plausibly be paying attention to in combat. That, like, you would also be like, oh yeah, that's like dead down, not like down. Which, like, think about like Vargas, who like went down how many times prior to actually like dying? Like a dozen. Like, no hyperbole. Like, ended a lot of fights because, Magi, especially like baby Magi, are really squishy. They're super glass cannon style characters. They
he
like, get
could
to the
deal
front
a
and they
lot
get
of
beat up.
damage, but he could not take those hits back.
Absolutely. So I feel like, and that was pretty well role played by, like, I mean, as always, by like Izzy and a variety of other people. I think when like Vargas first went down, this kind of like, oh, he always goes down, and oh god. But yeah, no, it's an interesting thing to play that combat when a character goes down and like try to not metagame like, I can't see that, or there's no way that this character would know that like they've just been split in half and murdered or something like that. Like, it is.
Yeah, they
like,
can't
I
see,
think,
or they don't know that he's just not unconscious or whatever.
Right.
Like, even for Bricks, like, the reason that I rationalized like Alwyn knowing that he needed the cardio amp was he did what he'd done at the start of several combats now since the last level up and cast haste. And haste, it says you choose the targets. And I believe, like, in that, within the fixture of that world, I would imagine you would be able to tell if your haste is working on the person you cast it on, and he would know, like, okay, something's wrong. This did not cast on him.
And that is just one of those like metagamey things, because like there's stuff like Breath of Life, for example, that is, as we've run into, because we have that one item that approximates Breath of Life. Like, the action economy isn't there.
Yeah.
Unless you're like anticipating someone dying and just sitting there waiting for it. And like, at that point, why is that character not doing something more productive in combat to end the fight, right? So like it does create a kind of a strange like spot to navigate, because like
and we had an interesting thing. Sorry to jump back a little bit, but like when Alwyn died, like everybody was hit by that fireball, and we even talked about like Asher's first thing wouldn't be to think like to pull out the cardio amp, because Alwyn and Brixby both looked basically identical, because one was
at
below his
-3,
con, the other one was like 1 point away. And he himself was hurt, so he did what would make sense, which was lay on hands himself first and then work towards healing everyone, which within the fiction of the game, that makes way more sense than immediately thinking to pull out the revive item when you don't know that anybody's gone.
Right. So that's always like an interesting thing in the way that death has visited this party, because it comes in combat, as it always does. And like, it's like the players have to experience it in the moment and then continue to perform tactically. And then we have the scene that has happened like a couple times. Can't say how many just yet, but like where we're like, wake up, buddy. And it doesn't work. And it's,
you have the weird contrast of it being so fast for the people in it, but the people doing it who are feeling pretty similar feelings to how the characters would feel, because those deaths hit pretty hard in the moment, but like an hour passes before you can even like acknowledge it.
Even though that's like 36 seconds in game. So like it is
truly wild. But
But it
we got
came
a great
back.
story out of it.
Yeah, and we defeated
Kudos
Jowd
to
and
Zach
his
for that.
dumb little robot. Yeah. Oh yeah, and we got that's right. We got
Finally.
Zach's amazing backstory on Brixby.
Which we can touch on a little bit more because there's like a deliberate question relating to that from somebody.
Yeah, someone asked a question about it.
But
I got it.
is pretty
you
much
mean
like
in
if I had
the
been able to
questions.
tell that, yeah, and which we can talk about more, but it's like if I had been able to tell that backstory before Brixby died, he probably would have been dead. That is what I can say right there. It was the fact that I wasn't able to tell a significant amount of his backstory, and it wouldn't make sense to be like, it's me, Brixby's cousin, who should tell you. Brixby exposition. Like, yeah, it's going to give you all of this. Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely made sense to come back and use that as kind of a, like an inciting point to touch off on some, it's like backstories, again, not to like totally derail us, but it's a weird thing to meet out. Like it usually requires some sort of like, plot prompting. Otherwise, you're just like narrative dumping about your character for like no reason at all, which feels like a lot of people's maybe first experiences with D&D in the first time. Like, like I wrote this 3-page backstory for a character for a campaign that we're only going to meet once. So I should say it all in the first episode.
So you're going to
like,
get my monologue and you're going to like it.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like there are still things that like, it's interesting to think about. Like there's still things we haven't explored about like, Kira and Parda, or like other things that we've touched on that like maybe we could have wrung every bit of RP and like backstory out of, but like there are just occasional times where you have to like let it go and maybe it comes up later. But when a character dies, you really have to like weigh, like, is their story fully told? Like there's other things that come in, like there's mechanical stuff, like can you afford it? Is that the kind of campaign we're running, etc. But like ultimately, like we do get a little control in this world. We get to decide when like narratives end. And like I think to that extent, we get to like do it poetically in one way or another, or at least like, make it worth something. So yeah, no, it was a weird series of decisions that I made there over those couple of days where I'm like, he's going to die. No, he's not going to, he's going to come back. But yeah, came back, told everybody about his backstory, and then we stomped that tower.
Yeah.
I think real quickly while we're on the topic, the other part of that question was whether any of us had an idea that was going to happen. I didn't.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise to me. Excellently handled.
If we're going to answer like the whole question, yes, he had a backstory. Backstory was slightly different than what it was before. It was actually a little bit darker, which we don't really have to talk about on the show necessarily. Sam knows. And yeah, but then like Long Dreamer kind of came in, and I've always been interested in like having a character that has an alignment drift in this, and like maybe even finding religion after like a time of, and I also don't want to share too much about myself, the player, but I'm not a religious person. But I find that like the pantheon of gods and how religiosity can be approached inside of like Pathfinder very interesting. So yeah, it was a really nice kind of dovetailing of like I had this backstory, and then we've introduced this Desna thing, so we're just going to kind of blend them together because it felt like Brixby was already kind of gravitating towards Desna anyway. So yeah,
pulled
that
his
is
reverse
that's the
great
answer.
job, buddy.
Found his religion.
Thank you.
And the other thing that happened after the climactic fight with Furcus and his robot buddy after Brixby died, but before he came back, was that the party found Cassandali's body, put her in the bag, Shou's body, put his head in the bag, and like a sphere device that had Cassandali's memories in it, or at least what Shout was able to extract, where you heard her voice for the first time. You heard her talking about worshiping Unity as a god and devoting her life to Unity, only to discover that it was a petulant tyrant monster. And she fled from Unity with stolen cache of information in her neurocam, hid the neurocam in a Y-shaped valley in the Felldales, which you know now is in a place called the Scar of the Spider. And then she ran and wound up hiding in the Aurora, where she was tracked down by a detachment of Unity's minions and ultimately killed, but luckily far enough away from Unity that its control had lapsed over these things, and Unity wasn't able to summon them back with Cassandra Lee's body. So they were all just kind of stuck there.
So, question about that. I'm assuming that was the Gearsman, but was that one android whose name I've already forgotten again, was she part of that, or was she just, like, one from that foundry who happened to be less melty than the rest?
Seawrath was the first android printed by the android foundry in the Aurora after Shao reawakened it.
Okay.
And it was just
so she wasn't part of the hunting party.
Right. And she was the closest one to like a fully formed being. She was still like, her face was offset by a couple of inches, and like her body wasn't fully formed, and her perception of reality wasn't necessarily super in line with actual reality. But
so teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I gotta ask, so what happened that killed Zhao when he tried to look at her brain? Like,
this is like one of the best little writing bits that I've seen. Like, just like a little tiny note that's in a Paizo book is that she had her head, like her actual physical head, rigged with an explosive nanite trap, so that when he got as far as he could with the memory extractor robot and he cut her skull open to try to dig further into her memories, it set off the trap, and the worshiper of the god of accidents was killed in an accident by a trap at the basement of his tower that was filled with traps. It's just like the poetic justice.
Incredible. Like,
so great.
I mean, that's the move that I want to make. I'm going to load my body full of, I don't know, explosives, so that when I die and someone does an autopsy, oh, it's a bummer. So we got Brooks back. We trashed the tower. Yeah. We had a new place to go.
Yeah, you had a new direction to go to the Scar of the Spider, but first you were going to check out that blip.
Yeah, that thing that had been bothering us since the end of book 2.
Yeah, it's just been on the list, just hanging out there. Yeah. So Long Dreamer flew you there to a place called the Gorham Pots, unusually warm land at the north end of a river. You schlepped your way through the mud, fought a little giant there, and climbed into the wreck of the Dusklight through the broken planetarium on the top of it. Turned the ship back on, went down through the weird slanted semi-gravity, semi-not gravity, went underwater, fought some blobs with metal skeletons.
There was an eel that feels before that.
Yeah,
there was.
An eel that feels.
The weird blobs, what were they, if that's not spoiling anything for later? Like, I'm assuming just like slimes that absorb some kind of androphin tech, or what?
They are Thorgothrells, which are monsters from the back matter of Book 3. Let me see if I can find them real quick. They're weird ones.
What blobs are these? Someone remind me?
They were those that had, like, the ones when we did the underwater fight where we all had to use weapons we never used.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And Sam accidentally described the things in them as skeletons, which allowed me to use Bone Shaker on them.
Yeah, they are a spacefaring race of aggressive genetic manipulators with, in their natural form, they're blobs of protoplasm 12 feet in diameter that move with awkward undulations that they can extrude pseudopods in order to manipulate objects and form simple tools. But they, when weighed down by Galarian's gravity, they sublimate into poisonous vapor in the atmosphere. So they form a force field around themselves and use bits of silver to form an endoskeleton inside themselves.
That's fun.
They're
they
fun,
were aliens.
weird little
That's
monsters.
interesting.
Was it before this? No. It was before the Eels That Feels battle that Asher tellingly was like, "Hey, if something happens to me, don't bring me back."
It was
yeah.
after the Eel That Feels battle.
It was like, that blobby dude opening the door, realizing that these are so much larger than I thought from the sliver of the doorway. If I die, don't bring me back.
Oh, it should be mentioned probably that after Brix died and came back, the next day, Asher did wake up without his divine connection to Chaldera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a very important event, though. I don't think we realized at the time how bad that would be. Yeah.
Yeah. And wasn't shared. Understandably. Right.
Yeah.
Like, totally understandably. But, like, wasn't something the party even reacted to because Asher was just assumedly still contending with it himself, understandably so. But yeah, no. Just like when I go to the store, gave a verbal living will, like I do to my partner when I leave, where I'm like, if I don't come back, just leave me in the woods or whatever. But yeah, so we took that as a binding living will for Asher.
We did.
Legal said we had to.
Yeah. Since we basically jumped there, we found a spaceship, which was great, but then Asher died, which was not great.
Yep.
Yeah. You found a potentially usable ship, went down to maintenance hatch to try to find a way to release the ship, and found irradiated dead. And Asher rushed in as he was wont to do after losing his connection to his goddess. And there just wasn't enough time to get to him before the zombies took him down, and he died.
And it didn't help that Alwyn was like, okay, I'm going to drop these things in a hole, not thinking that, if I put this hole here, they literally have nothing to attack except Asher if they don't fail this roll, which that was a bit of a issue on my fault of spatial reasoning.
You couldn't see. Well, that was like the thing. It's like that's where it comes back to like metagaming. Like we couldn't see Asher around the corner, not by the rules mechanically of Pathfinder. There's no way we could figure out where he was, and
this cast loves
in universe it made
to martyr themselves.
Sense. Yeah.
The one time something actually has combat reflexes, Asher provokes 3 times, and the worst part about the multi-class leveling is if he had been Gunslinger 7, which he would be at level 11, he would no longer provoke for firing or reloading as long as he had at least 1 grit point.
Oh, man.
It's brutal.
That's
brutal. He told us
brutal.
that, and I was like, oh, that sucks. But what was like actually painful about it was 30 seconds later, Sam was like, and then we level up. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a rough one.
Yes. Oh, that was a very hard series of episodes. That was
That was
absolutely brutal
my
day.
roommate.
Brutal 3 days for the very capable 4. We didn't even mention the part where Nick Shariel showed up, beat everybody within an inch of their life, and took Asher's skin. That happened too.
That was horrific.
No, that was
Not the skin.
The moment where Brix tried to get everybody out, and Asher stayed, understandably, and like that was also like that was a really interesting moment for roleplay, like tactical roleplay, of being like, what would we do in that instance? Like run directly back in at full on run, like ×4 run, which only works if you're going straight. That would still be what? Rounds, 5 rounds, 6 rounds, getting back downstairs.
A lot, because you had to go up 5 stairs and then or
Yeah, because you
5
had to go
flights of
up to
stairs
his
and down
room
like
and
10.
then down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I already had a
Yeah.
negative level at that point, so
Mhm.
I
You
was
had a negative
super limited.
level.
Yeah,
I had a negative level.
Alan and Kira were like barely breathing.
Mhm.
I don't even think Kira was. I don't think either of them were conscious for that.
Yeah.
Oh, Kira was at like
Alwyn
negative
got
12.
brought back. I think Brixby brought me back like but I was still only at like 5 HP. Like one hit from anything that Nixariel or what's her face were doing would have put me right back down. Like it was
Yeah.
not great.
yeah.
It was-
It's like it's rare that I want to give Sam any like tactical credit, but the Kira falls in the pit and the grenade is there moment. I was just like, oh God, this is so bad.
That wasn't
part of
me.
this
I didn't throw
was
that
a
grenade.
bet. It was a bet of our own making, but like there was, I mean, Nick Shariel also added insult to injury, or one of them did to that point by making Kira paralyzed. Like you paralyzed Kira before the bomb went off, if I remember correctly, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, no, I was going through my like trying to figure out how to open up a second window in Hero Lab because I was like, well, I'm done now. I need to put my backup character up. I was for sure gonna die, and then didn't, which was nice.
Yeah, Kira had a whole bunch of non-lethal damage, and then she got hit with harm.
Oh, it was
Harm, that was it.
120 damage.
that's
That's
the
right.
tactical thing you did. Is that you brought Kira down
Yes.
to 1 hit point, and like that's what it was,
So
and then it
humbling.
went off.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
It was such a moment. I didn't know that could be happened. I was like,
Yeah, that's
Kira's fine.
one
What are you
of the
talking about? I have
most-
121 hit points.
Yeah, that's one of the most brutal spells
I
in the
didn't.
game. Like it's honestly worse than it would be if it didn't have that caveat that it stops you at 1 HP because it's the perfect like alley-oop to then kill someone.
Or the perfect alley-oop to a grenade just sitting on the ground there.
Mhm.
But I'm sure that will never come back to bite us again.
Yeah, now we know.
Now we know. We just
We'll
hit her
add
with
super
a
quickly.
nuclear bomb the next time we see her.
All good. That whole scene was intense, obviously for a lot of different reasons. But I remember playing that when Kira woke up outside of the castle, was again really briefly mad at Brixby. Like, how did you leave Asher behind? What are you doing? Until she found out that no, Asher had stayed behind, and that was a big thing for her. I think there was a huge sense of betrayal there. Like, why would you stay behind? We were trying to get out. What can you do? And Jeff, the player, has explained this since, which I won't speak for you, Jeff. But that was, on my part, a choice to like have Kira not interact with Asher anymore because she was so upset by that. Which then backfired because Asher died immediately thereafter.
He had a really bad run. Like he had all of his skin removed, then he got leprosy, then he died.
No, he got leprosy and then he had his skin removed.
Oh, was the leprosy
he
first?
lost his power and then he got his skin removed and then he got brand new skin, got leprosy on it, ruining it.
Yeah.
And then he died, so it was kind of moot after that one.
It was
Rough
a
time.
really bad like 2.5 days for Asher.
That culminated in his death and screwed us up immeasurably as a party. It was pretty rough. And as players, that was the most I've cried during an episode, like actually cried during an episode, like 3 times at least. Really rough. And definitely like in a series of just episodes that felt like every win that we had was just like someone died, something terrible happened. Like there was, I mean, I would still say things are not very bright for the outlook for the very Kira one plus the rest of everybody else.
That's my roommate would joke, like, because I would come out for like 3 weeks in a row. I came out of these things crying, and she was like, "What are you doing? I thought it was a game." I'm like, "It's a game with feelings."
It's a mean game.
I know, right? Like I definitely had said this too, where I was like, usually people role play to like escape the drudgery or worse of our like real lives, but I just want Brixby to sit down and just like play it being a boring system administrator for like a couple weeks where nobody dies and all you got to do is figure out what's going to happen to those two VMs that are still 2012R. But hey, that's a discussion for the technology machine channel. Um, but yeah, so Asher died, and then we had a really intense episode where we kind of focused in on how all three of the remaining members of the party handled it. And then we had a memorial service together. But again, still horrific and sad.
But beautiful. It was such a great episode.
I mean, it was a really enjoyable like episode to look back on in a way. Like it hurts, but like there was a lot of really good and like I mean, I legitimately miss Asher, like Zach the player. So like it was very easy to write from a place of like sadness and remembrance.
No, it was a hard hit. I mean, and like we always joke about like the no time has passed thing, but that happened literally on the second half of a recording that was being done before an almost month-long break. And so we had a very long time to all just kind of like sit and think about this before we could resolve any of it. And that made it a lot worse than like Brixby and Alwyn, where like we were back a week later dealing with it. Like it was bad to have to go all that time thinking about it.
I mean, it was also the first character to not return, which we knew like
yeah. Well, like Brix was like an either or, though we did learn it fairly soon that it was going to be him returning, but yeah. That is true that it was also the first one that we knew for sure was gone.
And
yeah, I mean, in a way, Vargas.
Vargas returned technically is what I meant to say, not Alwyn.
Yeah, like Vargas was back by the end of that recording session, and then it was like several episodes later after we beat the boss that he left for real. So I would really call that the same kind of thing.
In a way, it sort of feels like a character it is more of a character retirement than a death with Vargas. And it's more open-ended as to whether he'll come back or not because he's still out there in the world. But with Asher, like, I mean, I had no expectation that he was going to die basically until the turn when I had no choice but to kill him. And like the memorial that we wound up doing in 138, where I mean we're saying goodbye to Asher, and all these characters are basically, you know, they're facing how bad his end was, but also like how great he was before that.
Yeah, and how much good he did and how amazing of a person he was.
Yeah, it really sort of brought in perspective, like, when you really think about the heroism involved, like he absolutely, as a character, earned that send-off. And he, you know, stood as the moral compass for the party for 137 episodes, for almost 3 years. And like, even after he's dead, like, you can see like in some of the alignment changes and in some of the personality changes and stuff of people, how he still kind of is.
Yeah, he's still the standard that I think the rest of us are measuring ourselves by. Like, he still is very
that's
much,
like
like the paragon of the party. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like Brix didn't have time for gods for like a long time, especially like with the way he was raised and his mother being an oracle and like how she spoke about gods and like, yeah. So it was, I mean, Asher had like a deep, indelible effect on like Brix's soul. And like really affected his development as a character. And like, you know, I didn't think that it would have been as quickly or as as deep a conversion, I think, without this death, like really expediting it even further. But like, I mean, but now we're getting so close to where we're at right now that we can't continue to look behind the curtain, can we? Because like these are just the eps that just elapsed, and that will have effect on things that we have coming. So, but yeah, no, it was incredibly sad. But later, we did like the old saying: if you have a cowboy-shaped hole in your heart, drop a snake in it. And that is
drop
what
a snake in that boot.
As the people do.
As the people do. And I'm so excited. I am so freaking excited. I don't even have a nickname for him yet as Brixby. Like, I mean, that only gets developed in game. I don't think about it when I'm out of the. But yeah, no, I mean, he's so fresh and so good. I'm so excited.
I'm very excited to see
Yeah, I'm
Tarazi
interested
in
in
action.
like what Tarazi can do. I'm excited to see him in action, so to speak.
Yeah, bringing in book 4 with the new character.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. I think that about puts us at our recap. Did we do?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think that about puts us at the end of our recap.
Yeah.
Because that would we just got Tarazi introduced. So I think that we are going to take a quick break so that everyone can, I don't know, brush their teeth or whatever happens when we take these breaks. We'll be back in just a little bit to answer a couple questions, and then we'll release you all for the night, into the night, where you will do what you will. Also brush your teeth, I guess.
Brush your teeth at the beginning of the break and then after the break as well.
Of course.
Like to have clean
and
teeth.
At the end of the episode. Yeah.
Turn the page, wash your hands. All right.
All right, Philbert.
No more chores.
Rocco.
All right. Meet back here in a couple minutes.
Yep.
Great. Everyone say something funny.
Something funny.
Nice. Nailed it.
You meant pretend someone.
We're having fun.
Okay.
Welcome back, all. That you just got to see some real live laughter from our jovial team. So welcome there. Look, there's some more. Just pops up throughout the recording. Second half of our machine learning episode. We're just going to do some questions that you all, the users, have asked. Also, we've had people submit them in the chat. I don't know if we'll have time for those, but if you do have a burning question, drop it in and we'll get to it if we can. Without further ado, let me pull up the question list. There's some ado. Sorry.
Well, while you're pulling up the question list, I just wanted to take a second to thank our $10 plus patrons, who we have a list of and that I totally have in front of me.
Let's say them as a round. I'll start. J-Rod.
Him.
Christine.
Easy.
Christine.
Oh, here it is. I'm blind. Jeremy.
Give it in your best Pearl Jam voice.
I haven't listened to that song in so long, I don't remember how it even goes.
Jeremy.
There you go. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, there we go.
That's back to you, Zach.
Mark.
John.
Sophie.
Yair. You are loved, even if you cannot be pronounced by me. Known bad at wordser.
Well, thank all of you for your support, and thanks everybody for other support in varying levels, including listening to this or watching this or, whatever you do.
Recommending it to your friends, hanging out in our Discord and talking to us.
Yeah.
All of that. We deeply appreciate and value all of you so much. Like it literally, like, it's not just now we have to put in some well-worn gratitude here. It's like legitimately, it's still surprising to me that anybody is at all interested in this project, not because of the nature of it, but just because it's something so fun that I get to do with my friends, that it's also wonderful that it's entertaining to other people. So
literally anybody that listened to episode 1 and didn't immediately go, this is garbage, and stop listening forever, we love you guys.
We even like the people who listened to episode 1 and said this is garbage and stopped listening forever.
Not me, I'm vindictive.
No, I do. And those who said this is garbage, stopped listening for a while, but then give us another shot. Love you
I
too.
love them. I love
Yeah.
them a lot.
They're
But
the
no,
real heroes.
Group number 2, no love.
They're real number 2s.
Ooh.
Oh.
But anyway, let's get to those questions before we negatively describe any of our potential listenership base anymore. Group 2, you could always become group 3. That's all I'm saying. But those questions, which we have pinned in the chat.
Here we go.
Chat pinned.
First question from a Jero. Hi, big fan of the show. Question: if the team had Zords, what would their theme be, and what would their combined Megazord look like? I don't know what that is. Is that a Power Rangers thing?
It is a Power Rangers
Yes.
thing.
Ah,
One of the Sams is very
Pink.
angry at this. But yeah, I mean, I was raised at a time where the Green and White Ranger were the coolest. So
Was there a time where they were the same guy?
yeah, no, I know, but they were different sides of the dark and moody coin of Tommy.
Well, there's never been a time where Tommy wasn't the coolest. So
I don't know. Johnny Young Bosch was
I
pretty
do
cool.
know about Tommy.
I had a crush on Billy when I was a kid, though. Billy always just had like a very cute vibe. But anyway, so what would our Zord be?
What
Some kind
theme
of
would it
group
be?
sword?
And what would their
so
Megazord
like different
look
ones.
like?
Sometimes they were dinosaurs. Sometimes they were like sometimes they were samurai themed. Sometimes they were like every. There's been so many Sentai shows.
right.
Maybe like a
Well, definitely a
big
dinosaur
blanket
then.
with different patches on it, like a big dead
Yeah,
friend blanket,
Yes.
a huge
A
tube.
quilt.
Patches on a quilt is
Mega-
amazing.
Mega Quiltazord,
Basically.
where each one is just different craft.
We're all mushrooms in our giant mycelia Zord.
Fungal Megazord.
Solid question answering.
Hope that answered your question, Jero.
I'm sure that answered
I
the
don't know who
question
that
of
is.
the person in our
Blandra.
Discord that was asking that one.
Elendora asks, would you rather fight the Technic League or the Hellion Cult? I will say the Hellion Cult because I have no real beef with the Technic League as a player. The Hellion Cult insulted us several times right to our faces.
I
Well,
was
Mostly
not.
you all insulted the Hellion cult, really.
The Hellion cult has like a strong, maybe no one will know who I'm talking about, but like Lyndon LaRouche vibe. Does anyone know? No? Like failed third party candidate for a long period of time that would just like con like, 2 or 3 people from every college class to just aggressively go out and clipboard for them in the 2010s. He wanted to like blow up the federal bank. Anyway, we're not going to really get into Lyndon LaRouche, but I feel like Hellion just had that like same sort of like sad stragglers, and like even the people that were evangelizing were just kind of busted in their own way. I'm way more scared of the Texas League, for sure. So I would rather fight the Hellion cult because they are losers.
Yep.
that's my
Canonically.
exact logic for that too. Like, so one of these guys has access to hundreds of incredibly powerful robots, super strong spellcasters. They basically control the entire country. And the other one is like 12 guys living in a hole under a Mad Max stadium.
See, if you think about it from like a real world thing, though, would you rather fight a bunch of nerds or like people who make chainsaws out of garbage?
Oh, I'd also like
I
to
fight
point out
nerds every day.
we've fought exactly 2 members of the Technic League so far, and both of them, Jowd and Nick Shariel, handed us our butts badly.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Because like in that analogy that you're making there, Sam, is that the nerds control magic, literal technomantic magic, which like
Yeah.
not saying some like battle bots like rigged up
Yeah, also the robot
chainsaw
army.
is also cool. But like, but they also have a robot army, and they could have a chainsaw arm if they wanted to, but they would get in the way of their making a robot army. So, yeah, I'm gonna stay with Technic League on that one. Good
Yeah,
question.
it's not really a fair fight when the Hellion cult has gone down in flames and the Technic League is still out there kicking everybody's butts.
True.
Yeah.
Fair question, or fair context for that question. But thank you for that question, Belladora.
All right. Next question, and I'm a little unclear on this one. Question for the VCIV, which presumably means the original four, but I'm going to say, I'm going to make the executive decision and say you can answer as whoever you like, except for Sam, who must be Hellion. If you were a vacation theme, what would you be? I don't know if I know what a vacation theme is. Like cruise? Disneyland.
Yeah.
Kira would be Disneyland.
Kira would be Disneyland. Like, especially maybe like in Disneyland in like January, doing like the Parade of Roses type stuff that they do in California at that time of year, with like all the glitter and flowers
So
and
pretty.
crafts.
See,
Yes,
Hellion would
absolutely
be
that.
like a super try hard wannabe Disneyland that just doesn't get there.
Hellion would be
And
that
like,
crappy creationist theme park that's in Orlando.
yeah, everything about it just
Yes.
deeply unpleasant, but it's so much money involved and it's
Mm.
just so awful.
They have the moving animatronic necks on the dinosaurs on Noah's Ark.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike
I wish
Johnson.
that was a joke.
I mean, is there like a vacation theme where you just take a couple days off work and bring like a 6-pack to the dump and see what you can find? Because I feel like that's what Brixby, like not in crisis mode, would love to do.
His
So if
theme
that
is
is a
like
vacation,
the all immersion. What was that movie with Charlie Sheen where he's a garbage man?
Oh, Men at Work.
Yes,
Oh.
it's like a Men at Work immersion vacation.
How about Alwyn or Vargas?
Oh, I didn't know if Asher wanted to go first.
Oh, I mean, I think he would be like a, your desert vacation.
Westworld.
So that's not a terrible answer.
Yeah. I was thinking
he
more like a
basically
trip
lives
to
in
like
Westworld.
Tombstone to see all the historical
Timothy
cowboy
Oliphant.
stuff.
I can't imagine him as Timothy Oliphant, which is funny to think about. Or was that Deadwood? Or was that Tombstone? It was Deadwood?
Deadstone.
Deadstone. Regardless, one of those
Dead
shows.
Woodstone.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Petrified wood.
What about Alwyn or Vargas?
Vargas, I feel like, and I hate playing into like the old Kermit thing because I hate that joke, but I feel like he would be like a seniors cruise type thing. Like you go to like see the fjords or something on like a Norwegian cruise line type deal, and you visit all the little touristy towns that are nothing like the actual country that you're in. And Alwyn, I think, would be like a camping trip out into like the Black Forest or somewhere where it's like exciting, but it's also like there's still bears here and there's no GPS signal type thing.
See, I feel like Vargas is
Same.
more one of those buses they put seniors in that they drive to a casino. And then like
Oh,
take you to
yeah.
Sizzler
No,
after.
you know what?
But,
Vargas
like,
is.
Ooh.
This is going to be something that no one is going to get because it was only local here and their only ship burned down like 10 years ago. But Vargas is a Sun Cruise casino.
That's
I
gonna
like
be
the
fun for
idea of
someone.
Vargas doing the secret vacations like J.D. Salinger used to do. Going on the senior bus trip to Niagara Falls and eating cheeseburgers. And nobody
That's so
knows.
cute.
No one
Yeah.
needs to know.
I think Vargas and I would get along really well. Solid job, team. All right, Sam, question for you. Have your cats ever majorly disrupted a recording by trying to climb into your dice tray and take a nap? This one is just for you, but I also have an answer.
I
was going to say,
luckily,
Kingsley is partly in the video right now.
Yeah, Kingsley is always in the recording. I have luckily sealed off my recording room from cat interference at this point. I think there were some times where they had gotten involved, but never anything too intense.
They were in the ceiling once.
Yeah, literally.
They came out of the ceiling on video.
Yeah, they like fell out of the ceiling.
Sorry.
Every single time I sit down to edit, though, this one cat, Eleanor, comes over and she's just like, no, this laptop is where my face goes, and just rams her head into it over and over again without relent until I stop.
Yeah. I think the one that comes to mind for me is there was a session where we were getting ready and one of your cats like grabbed a wire or something and you ducked down real fast to stop it, and it looked like you got sucked away from the camera like a horror movie.
Yeah, and you said something like, oh no.
Yeah, like, no, don't do that. And then you just like got sucked backwards like the end of Wreck. It was like...
And we were like, I guess Sam has just been kidnapped. And that, for me, started off a whole like Netflix thriller series where I was like, what do we do if Sam is ever kidnapped on screen? Text his partner?
Well, we only murders in the building, like in a Skype call, basically.
Yeah, the
only murders on the podcast.
Yeah, I call being Martin Short on that, by the way.
Is it Selena Gomez or other one?
It's Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, and Martin Short. And
yeah,
they're all fantastic.
All three of the original cast of not Three Musketeers. What the heck was that movie?
Three Amigos.
Yeah, all the original cast of Three Amigos. Famous Selena Gomez.
I love Selena Gomez in that one. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, that was my first time seeing Selena Gomez in something, and she is amazing in it. She's really good.
She was
one of those things where
there was some movie it was a TV show that one of my nieces watched. I feel like she was in that. Was she in the show on Disney?
It was a Disney Channel person, or maybe a Nickelodeon.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that like I was not a Disney kid, and
it was
I
with like Wizards or
to...
something. What the heck was it?
Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the new Selena Gomez fan cast. Thanks all. That question was from Darby. We appreciate kicking
Sorry,
off.
Tim Curry.
Oh, my answer you already said was Kingsley is constantly in the recordings. I can't close this door because this is her litter box room. So she climbs up into my lap and jams her face right into the recordings, and she'll just sit there like she's me, but she's not me.
But I would say
2 inches from Izzy's face like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say though that isn't the same answer, Sam, because
when
Kingsley does that, it does not disrupt the recording; it improves it.
Fair.
Everyone
I like to
just
think
has
she
to
improves
pause to
everything
admire
she's
the
part
cat.
of. Oh, she's such a great cat. Anyway, yes, thanks to Darby for that question. Another question from Bellandora. What GooTube-esque monster would you create? And then there's some context for that. I had some fun with puns internally, but I want to see where your brains go, so I won't mention them here. GooTube-esque monsters.
I think you mislabeled it. This question is from Mashinini.
Oh, I am reading these backwards, so my bad. I'm sorry if I misassigned your question. Same question, though. GooTube-esque monsters.
The gelatinous tube.
Ooh, that's good.
That's a little nod to the first thing that killed me in 2E way back in the day. Rip Aiden, who died to a gelatinous cube. So that's it. It's like a flavorful, thicker, wigglier version that absorbs you.
Now does the tube give it DR?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Maybe it's like the tubes in the back, so it's kind of like a hermit crab situation. So it's but there's no facing in Pathfinder. So that is
maybe it's
answer.
like retractable, like the tube squeezes out, oozes you, and then it goes back in the tube, and it's a swallow whole situation.
Yikes. My
I'm
children will
trying to
never have Go-Gurt.
I'm trying to think of a
Sorry,
goo
Go-Gurt.
pun that's like even half as good as glutinous tube.
I would
We might need
be-
to call it.
Oh, never mind then.
No,
No, go for it.
No, Jeff, say your words.
I was gonna be a Vargoo.
Ah.
The only goo tube that eats you back, and if you fail your save, your head pops off and turns into another goo tube.
Turns into
creature.
another flying goo tube.
A goo tube with bat wings.
Yeah.
Solid. Nice.
See, at some point somebody said goo punch, and now I'm just hearing the song from my brother, and no, not my brother, and me. What's the show? The old Nickelodeon show?
Pete and Pete?
Pete and Pete?
Oh, Pete
No.
and Pete.
No, it wasn't Pete and Pete. It was something about two brothers. It's not
That's
my
Pete
brother,
and
my
Pete.
brother and me. That's a podcast. But they had a neighbor whose name was Goo. And at some point he
Oh.
made Goo Punch.
Nickelodeon.
Goo
Brothers.
Punch.
Oh,
What was that
yes.
from? The kid was dancing and he would say
My
Goo
tape.
Punch. Okay, yeah.
The
we can
Brothers
Google this.
Garcia?
No.
That was from
Goo
2000.
Punch.
I
Drake
think
and
it's older
Josh.
than that.
This is from who remembers Goo Punch, Nick 90s from this.
It's called My Brother and Me.
That's my brother and me.
Oh,
Yeah.
just the
I
one
was gonna say,
brother.
that's
My
what
brother
they're-
and
Just
me.
the one brother.
Thing is a play
My
on.
brother
Yeah.
and me.
I was gonna say that
Yeah.
was the show. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the song Goo Punch.
Oh.
It's just like tattooed on my psyche.
Goo Punch. All the ladies goo
I
punch.
know, right?
That's all I know of it.
Oh my
That's all
god! And
you
I
need.
That was
remember
great.
looking at this the title card now. Yes, I do remember that show.
Now I need to know what Goo is doing now.
All right, so we're on to the next one.
Sorry, I was so distracted by looking up this show. I don't think I've ever seen it. All right, this is one of my favorites from Triple Chooch Cat. I think. How do each of your characters answer this question? Is a hot dog a sandwich? Jero, you've received special instruction to answer as both Vargas and Alwyn. Sam, wow, you need to do the Drifter, Hellion, and Sandville.
Oh man.
I think let's just rattle them off. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I guess
Definitely.
Vargas would say yes, it is, and Alwyn, as a fruitarian, would not know what a hot dog is.
Sam?
Why would a hot dog be something you would eat between two pieces of bread? It's just walking around on all fours, is what Asher would say.
Oh, it just
Like-
makes me even sadder.
I think the Drifter would just stare at you and for a full minute in silence before eventually saying, I do not consume human food. I do not know how humans would classify food.
Abadar categorically says no, unfortunately.
Sandville Tret absolutely says a hot dog is a sandwich.
Oh, well, then I have to change
Sandville's
my
like,
vote.
did you find one? That's mine. No, hold on.
He is definitely chaotic sandwich where even a Pop-Tart is a sandwich for Sandville Tret.
Absolutely.
Pop-Tarts and ravioli.
Whereas I think Hellion would swing the other way and say a hot dog is not a sandwich. He's a sandwich purist.
That
Solid.
makes
Way to
sense.
go, team. That was a good, quick round there. Okay, we got another one, I think, from Triple Chooch Cat. What do the VC4 or the VL2 plus A and B change their name to after inheriting their godlike power of accidents through the opaque Tim Allen Santa Claus style process from episode 121? Have to look up which episode 121 is.
I think, was that when we killed Furcus? Did we make a joke that we now
Yeah,
are...
we got the Santa Claus, the
Yeah.
Tim Allen law.
Oh,
we've
yeah.
now become
Where
the...
you-
Put on a suit and became Xiphus.
No, it's where you narc out all of your friends for cocaine dealing and then become an actor later.
Yeah,
No,
and
I'm
become a
kidding.
famous actor later instead of spending the rest of your life in jail.
That's not what we did because this party doesn't snitch. But yeah, what did we rename our party after that?
Well, we're gonna have to rename it again either way. So
Masters of Disaster. We didn't. We're workshopping it.
The Zabulus
You know, you
Xiphus.
only
Yeah, that
sent
one's
this
tender.
to us about
we've only had like 4
5
months.
months.
Not even
5
5 months.
five and a half months.
Not even 5 months.
Oh, that's barely even a third of a year
Yeah.
and change.
What do you expect of us? I mean, come on. But
What are we,
yeah,
content
no.
creators.
The power
Get
team.
back to us
Working
on
on
that one, because I mean, especially now, far before you asking this on the 7th of June as a sweet summer child, would you not know that our party composition would change even more? So
drastic.
so drastic.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one. That's a solid question for the next time we do
Solid
machine
question.
learning
Yeah.
in 2.5 years. Mashinini, what's your favorite alien?
Oh, Alf. Hands
Munkle.
freaking down, Alf.
It's got to be
Maybe
Uncle Martin
Mork.
O'Hara. It's in the name
I
of
was
the
going to
show.
say Mork. Man,
Oh, I'm sorry. I took Mork. I feel
that's
bad.
cool. No.
Is it? I mean, I haven't watched Alf in a long time, so I don't know if it like holds up.
That apparently
Nor
almost
Mork
killed
and
its
Mindy.
cast a lot of times because the sets were like a death trap because they had like a bunch of trap doors everywhere so they could pop the puppet out and people kept falling in them.
What?
I like
puppet?
before the description where you're just like, it just really tried to kill a cast over and over. That puppet demanded blood, and I would have believed you.
I mean, considering they were falling in
mean-
the hole the puppet came out from, you're kind of right.
All I remember
You
about
saying
Alf,
Alf
is
was
that he ate
Xiphus the whole
cats.
time?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a cat
Yeah.
eating Xiphus.
What was his? Didn't Alf have a name? What was his name? And no one ever called him it. They learned his name like
I'm gonna
a
Google
season
this.
in and then
Was his
refused
name
to
not
ever
Alf?
call him by it.
Wiki.
No, he has like a
Is
normal
Alf an
human name.
acronym?
It
Yeah,
was
it's Alien
Like
Life
alien
Form.
life form?
Gordon
Gordon
Shumway.
Shumway.
Yeah, Gordon Shumway.
I do not remember that at all.
Not to be confused with Gordon Sumner, who is Sting of the Police.
Hey, that's another Only Murders in the Building reference right there.
Solid
Alf.
work, team. Also Alf.
It's weird that Alf got a spot
wow.
on Only Murders.
Okay, I do love this though. To avoid wear and tear on the principal Alf puppet, the performers rehearsed with a crude early version of Alf,
Oh,
nicknamed
God.
Ralph, which was either rehearsal alien life form or repulsive alien life form.
Oh, not
Fusco did not like
repulsive
to
alien life
rehearse
form.
and would often substitute his hand or Ralph for the real Alf puppet, which was kept safe during rehearsals. Thank you for
I mean, you
tuning
got to
into
avoid that wear and
Alfcast.
tear.
This has been Alfcat. Oh, you beat me to it.
Could you imagine how much better Alf would be if Selena Gomez was on it, though?
Fair.
Well, that's what all
And
that
Tim
AI
Curry.
development is for, so we can put Selena Gomez into shows that aired before she was alive.
Whoa, there was a person who was Alf, as well as a puppet.
Really?
Mihaly Micho Mizaros, born in 1939, died in 2016. Was a
Wow.
Hungarian actor, circus performer, entertainer, and stuntman. As an American citizen, he was best remembered as a performer with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, as well as his role on Alf. He was 2 feet 9 inches.
Oh,
When
so
he
like any
portrayed
scene, I guess,
Alf.
so they had to have him like walking around or anything.
Yeah,
They
for
had
the
a guy
first
in
scene
an
of the Alf,
costume.
he donned the costume for any scene of Alf walking, running, or standing.
That's really
So
interesting.
Alf was not just a puppet. Thank you again for tuning into Alfcast,
Alfcast.
We're learning
where
so
we
many
read
things about
Wikipedia
Alf.
articles to you for Patreon dollars.
Okay, we got this next question is a very important one. If we get to that, though, I'll let
This is a
our host
biggie.
read it.
Oh, please, no. Sam, how many cats do you have? That's from, might be Sam or, Corey.
I think at this point I have exactly cats.
Sorry,
The
you broke up a
world may
little there.
never know.
We know it was at least 4 syllables.
That's got to put us in like the 5-digit numbers.
I said the number. I've said it on 2 different podcasts now. What more do you want?
Yeah.
Would you type the number into our chat in the
Now,
Twitch stream?
Is it going to be like Mr. Burns
For
typing in his
folks that,
age as his
like-
PIN number and it's like 6?
Like super exclusive content.
All right, I sent it.
That's not
I
a
don't
number.
believe it. Oh, there it is. Yep, there it is.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Now, and Corey will never know because she's not here.
Yep.
Yeah.
If Corey
Oh,
was
Corey
here,
missed
we'd
out.
actually been able to have laid that to rest. But that's what you get. for
We also
missing.
have, though, another
Well,
Corey
sure.
question. That I don't know if you want to try to read that whole thing out.
Oh, I'm not going to do that to the listeners. I think it'd be funny for 10 seconds and then no funny. So we'll do
I'll
the
do
first
it.
6 digits. Go for it.
Okay. Another question for Sam from Might Be Sam. 01010001100100000101101101100000011. 00100000011001011. I think that's 10 seconds. But it goes on quite a bit longer. Do you have an
And
answer
so
for that,
on.
Sam?
No.
Is no the answer, or
Is
'cause
that
it is
your
a yes or no
answer?
question?
It is a yes or no question.
Or is it?
I don't know. Can
Yeah,
you
no is
read
my answer.
binary?
Or
That
In
might
the
help
general
answer the
chat.
question.
Oh, but I mean, that's the. I mean, is that the trick? Because if you say no,
Mm.
then you read binary, so the answer is clearly yes. Oh,
This is
trick
just
Never
like
ask a
that riddle with
binary
those 2
question.
guys.
To a Sicilian when death's on the line.
so
Like no sort of
clearly I
land war in
cannot answer
Numeria.
the question in front of me.
Listen, this
Yeah,
could be
exactly,
easily
Sam.
settled by sending in a photograph that has then been partitioned into 16 squares and asking Sam to identify the motorcycles. That way we can figure out if Sam is or is not a robot.
And if it's anything
Ooh,
like any
while I
captcha
have
I've
you
ever
all
had to
here-
solve, there are no motorcycles in it, just a mailbox.
Well, so you all computer people being that you are, do you include the guy on the motorcycle as part of the motorcycle? Because I recently failed a CAPTCHA, not because I'm a robot, because I'm dumb.
I include anything that I think has a part of the motorcycle in it, even if there's like that one little sliver on an otherwise empty square.
Mm.
I hate contributing to the knowledge that CAPTCHAs also glean, so I will get it wrong and avoid websites that use them sometimes, if I can. Otherwise, no,
Classic
I'm going to
Zach.
avoid the guy on the motorcycle because I'm not thinking about him, unless there's a little sliver of seat. And yes.
Sure, exactly that. Okay.
Fun, quick little mini story to go with that. The joke I made earlier about the mailbox is because for a while the Rooster Teeth website was using CAPTCHAs to, if you had a VPN on, which I always have a VPN on, and had to log into their site, they'd make you fill out a CAPTCHA. And they had one that kept coming up that I kept failing because I refused to identify a mailbox as a fire hydrant. In there,
could
please
you?
select all the, and I'm like, that's not a fire hydrant, I'm not selecting it. And I would just have to keep reloading the page until I didn't get that CAPTCHA.
It's machine learning featuring my roommate in the background. All right. We're on to our last question again, unless anyone pops into chat at the last minute. This question is from a loyal listener who shall not be named. It's been 3 years. What is or what's been your favorite part of doing the pod, and what's the most challenging part? And no, I'm not asking this because I'm editing a particularly annoying episode at the moment. That question asker. I'll go because I am close with the question asker. Favorite part of doing the pod, not to be like super gross about it, but honestly, it's the community. It's just I started playing TTRPGs in 2020, about 3 months before I joined the podcast. And those first initial months, I didn't have like local friends because it was, the what's it called? Pandemic. I didn't have friends to play with here. So I looked a lot online, and those online experiences were rough. A lot of the TTRPG community is not great if you are not a straight white dude. And so that was like, I was like, well, I'm done here. I hate it in this place. I'm never coming back. And then I met you all, and things changed completely and immediately. And so I'm super glad that we're all friends, like 5 of us specifically, but also the community at large, the Discord. I think you're great people. I want to meet you all personally and hug you unless you're unless you're uncomfortable with hugs, at which point I will give you a high five, a handshake, or a fist bump. Thank you for being incredible people. You're the best. It's the most challenging part. I actually learned doing this podcast that I have an auditory processing disorder and don't absorb spoken information super well. Which has been fun for trying to piece together the story. I feel like I'm often 18 episodes behind. I don't pick something up until it's been told to me 3 times, and this is a quick moving podcast. I don't have Jeff's affinity for note taking, so it's a lot of listening back to episodes and being like, oh, that's how everyone else knew that was going to happen. Of course. It's been a real learning curve. Fortunately, I have very patient cast members who don't mind me asking questions that Sam literally just answered seconds ago. Thank goodness. Who is next? Zach, you moved your mouth.
Okay, so mine's like less general because Izzy gave the best answers, not because they know anything about this question or the person who originally posed it to us, but I would say my like high point was honestly playing Forget Me Not, because I felt like that was the stupidest that we've collectively gotten with each other, and like in a way that deeply like builds affinity with people, like in a way that like, staying up all night with someone or doing something that pushes you way beyond your your bounds of normalcy. There was just something about playing the characters and Forget Me Not and our inability to get out of the van or do anything that really just like deeply endeared me to playing this pod. Aside from the fact that like, for a lot of us and for a lot of people that listen to podcasts like this, for the years that I listened to podcasts like this, I, aside from my like Skull and Shackles games, struggled to keep like a consistent game because of lives or anything else going on. But generally, as we get older, like most of my most of my Dungeons and Dragons experience was in my like teens, like when I had time to play 3.5 and 2 and whatnot. So I mean, I like it is, to give my like answer, it's like amazing that a bunch of originally strangers could commit to like meet each other almost every week for years and do something that I haven't been able to convince like friends of mine for like decades to even be able to like finish filling out a character in like 5e, let alone Pathfinder. So like those are the good specific and the good general about this. Honestly, the hardest was the Asher episode. So like little behind the curtain, my grandmother died right around when Brixby died. So it's my like only living grandmother. My families are very small. So like when Carrie passed, like it was right around when Brixby died and was revived. And then shortly thereafter, like Asher died. And I felt like for a little while, and I mean like we're just coming out of this, but for a little while, like coming into like, as Izzy described, coming and sitting down at this game was like the same trepidation that I would feel like sitting down with a therapist after like a particularly hard period of time. And it like again almost speaks to like how transformative. It doesn't have to be for everybody, right? Like sometimes you can just escape and have fun, but like how transformative this can be. Because I felt like I actually processed a lot of guilt and a lot of pain and through this character, through this fake rat, through his death, through the death of one of his closest friends and like moral guiding lights. and maybe the most inspiring person that Brixby's ever met. Like I felt like having to record those episodes, specifically recording like a eulogy for Asher, was like so hard, but like incredibly cathartic. Like we were all crying so much during that episode. It sucked. Totally sucked. We love you guys, but like it sucked recording that episode. We looked at each other, we would cry. Like I couldn't look at the Skype call when I would like talk or I would cry more. So yeah, no, I mean that had to be the hardest episode I think that we've recorded. At least for me. But like I don't know. I mean like I love getting together with these four. Every week, every other week, depending on the month. So that is also just a high point in like my life that this podcast provides.
Now, Zach, you have to choose the next person.
Hero.
I would kind of echo Izzy's thing. Just the community is a big one, and just for me, the idea just that what we're putting out is something that people enjoy. Like, I remember when we hit like, it's like, oh, we had 500 downloads. Like, that amazed me, let alone, and then it was like, oh, now we're at 100,000. It's like, what on earth? And then there were, when we would like occasionally like pop into the top 100 in US gaming for like a day or two, it was like just ridiculous that like people enjoyed listening to us do this, because like it's fun to do, and it's something that I would be doing even if we weren't recording it, if it were possible to keep a schedule in that case, which it probably wouldn't have been. But just the idea that it's something that people enjoy and that it's bringing that to people, that like we've had people like in our Discord and stuff say like that it's something that they like to listen to every week, or that they're excited to get caught up. Like just the idea that we're bringing a little bit of positivity into the world doing this is always a very nice thing. And also just doing this, I happen to sort of, I guess I want to say, apply to Sam's original post way back at the beginning of COVID. I had recently had a very nasty IRL issue that also caused fallout with a like pretty much the largest online group I was in at the time. So I happened to pick up on Sam's thing just because I had the recording equipment. I had nothing really to do, and it just sounded interesting. And I am so glad that I did it, just for everything that has come from it. Just the people I've met and the stuff I've done, and just the what we've managed to bring out to everyone. And I'm still can't really believe that people do like it, but I'm glad they do, and that's definitely been the positive thing for me. As for the hardest part, I would say in general, I'm someone who gets very stressed out when we have things. It's like, well, everybody's had to cancel and we have one episode and as backlog is always one that's a stress in general, though it's never been like a super big thing, because I know it's not the end of the world if we miss a week or something. We always have something we can pop out. But also, I'd have to kind of, as I echoed Izzy before, echo Zach on when we've had like character deaths and stuff like that. Like, it's one of those things where you don't expect it to be that big of a IRL thing, but it really is, and it can really more than you expect it to hit you as actual like emotional pain when that happens, and it can be bad. Like I know when Alwyn died, like the recession itself, like I didn't really think that much of it, because again I was on like 3 hours of sleep, and I'm like, okay, I'll go to sleep. I woke up the next morning, and I remember I fired off a very angry Discord message like, I can't believe character died. And I blamed me, and I blamed Sam, and I was very upset about it. And then Sam's like, we have them, like, your characters have the money and stuff to bring them back if that's your decision. I'm like, oh, yeah. But, like, at the time, it was emotional. It's like, for being, like, a made-up character in a made-up game. And then again, like, the stuff with Bricks and with Asher and just the amazing work that everyone else has done. Like, the speeches that Zach has given for stuff have made me tear up more than, like, actual real speeches I've heard in memorial to real people sometimes, which again is a weird thing to say about an imaginary character, but there's so much real emotion behind it that it's just powerful.
And that's a testament to how everyone plays their character. Because,
Mhm.
like, that emotional investment is not intentional. Like, it just happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
we're just some folks who, majority of us have never seen each other in person, who met online at a time of, like, really socially disparate and disconnected. So, yeah, no, I mean, it just speaks to, like, the level of connection that we have with each other as people, but also with the players that we bring every week.
Mhm.
I totally understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff.
Oh. Oh yeah, got that on mic. The best part, similar but slightly different to what's been stated about the community. For me, the community on our Discord is fantastic, and I'm super grateful for it. But also the being a part of this like Paizoverse podcast, and uh, starting off as a fanboy of actual play podcasts, still am, and becoming a creator of one. And like, I didn't expect us to be a hit. That's a sentiment we all shared. But the love and support that these podcasters have for our fellow podcasters, like the resources and the communities and the overlapping and the guest starring on like having folks come onto our Brian's was just awesome. And then get into Sam and I pop over on Zone of Truth, or a bunch of y'all going over and doing that radio show, and
That
all
was a
this
lot of fun.
different stuff that has just been wild to be a part of something bigger than just our own little community, but to get to be a part of a even larger one has just been really neat. And yeah, so I came at this question differently, and I was thinking as a practical, logical man that like, oh, the hardest part, that's just scheduling, man. That's the worst. Trying to
Mhm.
trying to like get ahead of the backlog. I hear other podcasts, and I love y'all, and I'm grateful and I'm proud of y'all for having like, oh, we're 8 weeks ahead, we're 6 weeks ahead, we've got 9 in the can. I'm like, man, that's so cool. I remember the can.
I mean, we've had that a few times. There's been times where we've
We
been like
Yeah,
never
but
full
we
ate.
love
months ahead.
riding on a freaking razor's edge is what we normally do.
I remember I feel like 2022 before multiple of us moved across the country and all this different stuff. Yeah, but so life happens, and like we were saying, keeping an in-person group alive for this long is tough, and we've made it work. We've dropped specials as main episodes. We've found a way, because we all really want to make sure something gets in your ears every Wednesday. But yeah, that's been just the practical challenges of that. And I will share too the 138 funeral, as has been said. I thought, having to go back and edit 137 was going to be so hard because, and it was also helpful to kind of process through some of that, but I was woefully unprepared for the kindness and love that people would have towards a cowboy I played on the internet. Like it was, it's blown me away, and it's made it beyond words that I could adequately express my gratitude to the other people at my table, you beautiful people in the balloons, and the people in our community. But yeah, Ret 138 wrecks me. Should I ever go back and listen to it again, it will continue to wreck me. And yeah, I don't know how much more to say on that beyond that was hard. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's totally worth it. But you guys are great. And I'm going to stop talking and say, Sam.
All right. I mean, echoing what everybody says about the community, and like just actually that people listen to this show that we're making is amazing. Like, I mean, all through my life, I have obsessively made stories, basically. And when you write stories, you're kind of always searching for that rush of like when things click, and it just really feels like you're making something that just works. And to some extent, like when you're doing that by yourself, there's a limitation there, because in the end, you're in control of what happens. Like you can, like the characters have momentum, and what you do sort of can make some decisions on its own to some extent. But then when you come into running a game like this, where like, as the GM, I have the world and I have like a ton of moving pieces in it. And I know like the framework of the story, but you play to find out what happens. And with this group, like I've never had it click so well, where you get that rush of just like things working and the story just like threading itself together amazingly with all these disparate parts that are like out of my control. So, it's scary, in a way, as control freak writer who wants to write a story, but like I don't control the decisions that the party's making, and I don't control like where everything's going and what everyone's doing. I don't control who lives or dies. But like week in and week out, like we wind up telling these stories that like I just come away feeling great about, which is just amazing. It's so rewarding from that standpoint. And then the sort of flip side of that, for my most challenging part is, I don't know if it's clear yet, but I am a person who has a lot of anxiety. So, there are times when like even just sitting down to play, like it just hits me like the sheer kind of terror of even interacting with other human beings, let alone interacting with human beings in a way that's going to be recorded and played for other human beings. Or like tonight, like before we sat down to record, was just like, it was like I'd never done it before. It's just like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're going to be on the thing and it's going to be live and it's going to be horrible. But like just coping with the anxiety of it is a continual difficult thing for me. And I think, especially through the pandemic, where basically I wasn't interacting with anyone who didn't live in my house for over a year. This was my outlet of actually like talking out loud to other people, and coming to terms with the anxiety of human interaction, and like also like putting a thing out there and sort of dealing with a social difficulty that I have, and like always threatens to sort of get worse, if that makes any sense. And this has staved off and helped me in a way as a person who, will always struggle interacting with other people. But, I do better here, and I think I do better outside of here because of this.
I am so glad this question asker asked that question because that was such a rewarding time for me personally. I love all of you. Thank you so much. That said, that is the last of our questions, and it is getting late, and some of us live on the East Coast, so I want to be cognizant of time. We're coming up on 2.5 hours. This is going to be a long one for you who are listening afterward. To our audience, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, as we've just said like 18 million times, so I will try not to belabor the point, but thank you so much for listening. We're glad you're here with us. To the rest of the cast, thanks, team. Way to go, guys. Good job. Appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody. And join me on STF and Friends. November 27th, we'll be playing Traveler. And
such a good system.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. I've never played a game of Traveler, but I have made several characters just because character creation is its own fun little mini game.
Bless you, Adam, and all that the rest of the folks on the pod for connecting with our pod and other pods. I'm so excited to listen to that. And thank you, Jeff, for holding that beer up to your mouth the entire evening.
Well, that's cold brew, sir.
Oh,
I think
I'm sorry.
cold
brew up to your mouth the entire evening.
There's commitment to a bit, and then there's commitment to a bit. Mm-hmm. And gotta hold up that cold brew.
As they say, proverbially.
That is a thing that people say.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of things that people say, Sam, you have to say the thing.
No, you get to say it, Izzy. Say it. Say it. Take the power away.
You're hosting.
I'm going to say it? Okay. That's great. All right. Well, then, it's just good night? Or everyone goes to bed? I actually don't know the thing. Oh, God. What's happening? I'm panicking. Someone take away the power.
You're going to bed. You're going to bed.
Well, the last
I'm going
time
to bed.
we
I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed.
The last time we did a machine learning execs ended with "I'm going to the bathroom." Just
forgot about
I had
that.
to pee so bad.
And I think we all still said goodnight after it.
So, I mean, are you going to bed or the bathroom? That is the important
I'm going
question.
to the kitchen, actually.
Okay,
it's dinner
fair.
time.
That's third way. That's fair.
My least favorite game show.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.